Alright, Commanders, just wanted to make a quick video going over what I believe was the 6th lowest clear in the world for Chapter 40 boss, Ziz. Spoiler alert, but if you clicked on this video, you probably already knew that. Anyway, just getting into that, I'm going to pop up the latest screenshot I had on the screen. I did mess around with some gear before this, but I believe this to be accurate. Now, if I'm doing my math right, it was around a 24.64% deficit, which if you look at this chart right here, tells me I was facing something around a 51.9% deficit or 52% deficit, depending on which of these blanks is closer. But anyway, you get the general idea. Now, to some of you veterans out there, that may sound like a small deficit, but this is pretty punishing, especially if you don't have the right overloads and stuff. And the lowest clear is only about 20,000 or 22,000 below this, and they have a much higher synchro, giving them more base stats. But anyway, enough rambling. Let me go ahead and just get into the fight here. Now, funnily enough here, I've been doing this so many hundreds of times, you can click and see me like clicking the animation and then failing to cancel it just because I'm that tired. Anyway, the first rotation goes Siren into Maid Anchor into Rappy. This is for two reasons. The first is we want to build up some of that health from Maid Anchor. The second being that I'm using Rappy as my main DPS in this fight, since my Helm is not particularly well overloaded. So anyway, Helm is kind of the secondary burst. She's just kind of here for buffs and to have a second V3. The main star of the show is Rappy, and then Siren as well. But yeah, and something you'll see me do throughout this here is I'm ignoring the lasers right now, and that's just because with Helm, they don't really do enough meaningful damage. I did get kind of lucky in iframe on Siren there. That would have been a wipe. Something else you want to do throughout this fight too is you just want to flick over to Helm occasionally and try to get that fully charged shot off on the burst. But you don't actually want your bursts happening instantly, or your timing gets a little off with some of the QTEs later. And again, I am at pretty high deficit for this boss fight. Right there, you just see me using Siren to break the QTE, or Siren's direction to break the QTE. But yeah, with it being this high deficit, I am just optimizing for DPS on target all the time. Ziz targets your units multiple times in a row. It's a reset. I just don't have the time to catch those missiles unless Rappy's explosion catches them for me. Now on these QTEs here, you want to stall these as long as possible. Time matters a lot in this fight because Ziz does a second burst that will wipe your units. It also gives her a defense boost like the first time where it drops your DPS down to 1. So even if you switch to Noah, you're going to time out. Anyway, we're into phase 2 here. So in phase 2 of the boss fight, this is actually kind of the easier part. You get this QTE, you want to break this as soon as possible. I think I just happened to get Rappy's explosion right before that, so I have to do it manually. And we're coming up to a minute. Now, you want to be around 500, 450 bars, depending on what your setup is here, maybe a little lower, if you want to finish this in time. And again, I'm just kind of bursting as soon as I can, going to Helm because my time is running out here. Now, I will say sometimes this particular QTE glitches out and the damage goes through it. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what's the intended interaction. But anyway, here we just continue DPSing. Now, the boss pops back here, and this is the part where the fight gets really scary. Because when she comes forward, you have about 2 or 5 seconds, and then she does the burst again. So I knew I was sitting pretty decent when I got to 180 bars there, I think, and then used the Rappy burst. And then we finally get this done. But yeah, it is definitely possible to do this about 20k lower. Other people have done it, potentially even lower than that, but yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on the boss fight. Just some quick thoughts, and I hope this was helpful to somebody. Have a great day.